The lights in the council chamber flickered as another star system died. Ambassador Zethai stood tall, his pale blue skin dimming toward gray, a sign of deep fear among his kind. On the great viewing wall, a projection showed the last moments of the Carthan system. Thousands of vessels burned, orbital stations fell silent, and then only silence. "Another gone," murmured Council Speaker Morin, his crystalline body shimmering weakly in the half-light. 12 systems lost in just 3 months. The chamber was quiet, a silence so heavy it pressed down on every delegate present. The Devourers had come without warning, machines, if machines was even the right word. Biomechanical nightmares that consumed everything. They stripped planets to barren rock, dismantled stations atom by atom, and adapted to every weapon used against them. The Valyrian fleets, the Zentarian phalanxes, the crystalline armadas of the Sophets, none had stopped them. None had even slowed them for long. Zethai clenched his forearms together across his chest, a gesture of despair. He was not a soldier. He was a diplomat, yet now diplomacy had no answers. "We need more ships," Morin said, though the words sounded hollow. "We cannot stand against the swarm with what we have left." "We have already asked," replied Orthan of the Sophets, his crystalline form trembling. "Every species retreats to defend their own homes. None will spare fleets for us." Around the circle of the chamber, heads bowed. Haven, their jewel of peace, was undefended. The green world below the station was perfect, safe, nurturing, a home to dozens of species who had long forgotten the word war. Safe worlds bred soft people, and soft people made poor soldiers. A young aide burst into the chamber, breaking the heavy silence. "Ambassador, Speaker, we have responses to the emergency broadcast." "How many?" Zethai asked, though he feared the answer. 14 so far," the aide said, shuffling his data pad. "Supplies from the Varn, defensive positions offered by the Curel, but," the aide hesitated. "There is one unusual response." "Show us," Morin commanded. The display changed. The words were simple, written in the Galactic Standard script. "From Sol System, Earth, message reads, help is on the way. Admiral John Carter, Human Defense Forces." The chamber froze. Zethai felt his skin grow cold. Earth, he had seen the files. "A Class 12 death world." "Surely not," whispered Orthan. "They cannot be serious." "They have been in contact with the wider galaxy for only 2 years," Morin said, flickering uncertainly. "Perhaps they do not understand the scale of this threat." Zethai pulled the restricted file onto his personal console. He had read it before, but now, seeing it again with fresh eyes, it chilled him. Earth, storms that could level cities, earthquakes that split continents, predators that hunted intelligent life for food. Humans, descendants of persistence hunters, creatures who ran their prey to exhaustion and then killed with tools. Their entire evolution forged by survival against a hostile world. They had survived what should have killed them. And now they were coming. "Politely decline," Zethai said quickly. "These humans have no idea what they face." "Perhaps," Morin said softly, "but we are desperate. Every ally helps, even a strange one." The aide cleared his throat. "Sir, there is more. Long-range sensors show ships at the edge of the system." "Zentarian reinforcements?" Zethai asked hopefully. "No, sir. Energy signatures unknown." The main display flickered again. 5 vessels appeared from the void. Not the elegant arcs of Valyrian cruisers, nor the flawless geometry of Zentarian designs. These ships were brutal things, angular, armored, bristling with weapons. They looked less like vessels of exploration and more like weapons that had learned to fly. "Are those human ships?" someone whispered. The comms system crackled. "Kepler Station," a voice said, rough and accented but clear. "This is Admiral John Carter of the Human Defense Forces, requesting permission to dock and coordinate defense. We received your distress call." Silence fell. Every delegate turned toward Morin. Admiral Cardamorphin, his crystalline form shifting uneasily, finally replied, "We appreciate your response, but I fear you may not understand the nature of the threat we face." A sound came through the comm, short, sharp, raw, laughter. "We read your file on the Devourers during our journey," Carter's voice replied. "Swarm intelligence, adaptive tactics, resource absorption. We understand the threat just fine." "Then you understand your small force cannot make a difference," Morin said. "Maybe not," Carter replied. "But we came anyway. Earth teaches you something. Sometimes you fight not because you can win, but because someone has to fight. Zethai felt unease ripple through him. He pulled up the ship's specs on his console. The numbers made no sense. These human vessels carried enough firepower to crack a moon, but their defenses were pitiful. It was as if they expected to be shot and had decided that shooting back harder was the only answer. Morin hesitated, then gave the words that would change history. Permission granted. Docking Bay 7 is cleared for your vessels. Understood, Carter said. Carter out. An hour later, Zethai stood in the observation deck above Bay 7. He watched the first human ship descend, its scarred hull pitted with scorch marks. Its weapon turrets still tracked the hangar as if expecting attack even here. The ramp opened. The first human out was tall, by galactic standards massive. Gray streaked his dark hair, scars lined his face, and his eyes swept the bay with restless awareness. His uniform was simple, practical, covered in tools and weapons. Behind him came others. They walked with a predator's ease, every movement precise, every glance calculated. They did not stroll. They advanced. Dr. Hayes, Zethai whispered to the xenobiologist who had studied them since first contact. What do you make of them? Dr. Lisa Hayes smiled faintly, though there was no humor in her eyes. I think you're about to understand why no sane species settles on a death world. What do you mean? Look at how they move, Hayes said softly. Every one of them is scanning threats, exits, cover. They can't turn it off. Their world never let them. Earth made them this way. Anything less died out long ago. Below, Admiral Carter was already speaking to the station commander. Even in conversation, his eyes kept moving, cataloging everything. His soldiers fanned out in a loose formation that looked casual, yet Zethai saw how it gave them overlapping lines of fire. Zethai shivered. Were they here to help or conquer? As if sensing his gaze, Admiral Carter looked up. Their eyes met through the glass. For the first time in his life, Ambassador Zethai felt what it was to be prey. The humans have arrived, scarred, dangerous, unpredictable. The Council does not yet know if Earth has brought salvation or a new kind of terror. The conference chamber on Kepler Station was a place built for peace. Soft light bathed polished walls. The furniture curved in graceful arcs, designed to put every delegate at ease. Calming holograms of gardens and oceans shimmered along the perimeter. It was meant for reason, for calm voices, for compromise. Admiral John Carter walked in, glanced once around the room, and frowned. This won't work, he muttered to the aide at his side. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner asked. Carter jabbed a finger toward the arrangement. One entrance, no clear lines of sight, half a dozen blind corners. That's how you get trapped and killed. Move the table to the wall. I want everyone facing the door with exits visible. Turner didn't hesitate. He barked orders, and within moments, human soldiers were dragging the elegant table aside. The perfect circle became a blunt half-moon facing the entrance. Holographic gardens winked out, replaced by tactical displays projected from human devices. The council members filed in, halting as they saw their chamber rearranged into a military post. Is this really necessary? Speaker Morin asked, his crystalline body flickering with irritation. Carter didn't look up from the display he was configuring. On Earth, we have a saying, proper planning prevents poor performance. This room was a death trap. I don't intend to let my people die in one. The blunt mention of death made several delegates shift uncomfortably. Ambassador Zethai took a seat, nodding that Dr. Lisa Hayes had positioned herself carefully, able to watch both humans and council members. She smiled warmly, but her eyes studied everyone as though cataloging risks. Carter finally turned to the assembled council. His scarred face looked carved from stone. Thank you for allowing us to dock, but before we commit, you need to understand what we're facing. We already know, Orthan of the Soffit said. 12 systems consumed, fleets destroyed, entire worlds stripped to rock. You know the facts, Carter replied, his voice calm but firm. But you don't understand the fight. He tapped a control. The display filled with maps of burned systems, arrows showing swarm movements. Your fleets engage at range, coordinated strikes, elegant maneuvers, effective for 3 battles. After that, the Devourers adapt. Then you lose. That is why this situation is hopeless, Orthan said. We cannot outpace their learning. Carter shook his head. Not hopeless, just expensive. Every victory has a price. Question is, are you willing to pay it? The words made Zethai's skin crawl, expensive, as if lives were currency to be spent. The chamber doors opened again. A human woman strode in, shorter than Carter, but moving with the same predator's grace. Her dark eyes scanned the room instantly, settling near the entrance where she placed herself with casual readiness. Two more humans followed, setting up equipment that looked far too much like weapons. Sergeant Maria Santos, Carter said. Special Operations, Hostile Environment Combat Specialist. Santos gave a curt nod, then addressed Carter. Sir, we've begun mapping defensive positions across the station. Narrow corridors, reinforced junctions, good kill zones. This is a diplomatic facility, not a fortress, Morin objected. Everything is a fortress if you use it right, Santos said calmly. Your architecture has choke points built in. We'll make use of them. Zethai stared at her. The woman spoke of turning art galleries and restaurants into battlefields as if it were nothing. Dr. Hayes leaned forward. If I may ask the Council something, how do your species typically handle existential threats? We negotiate, Zethai admitted. We find peaceful solutions. If that fails, we apply advanced technology to secure superiority. And when the enemy adapts to your technology, Hayes asked. We build new technology, Orthan said. It takes some months. The humans exchanged glances. Santos actually smiled faintly. Sergeant, Carter asked, how long does it take your unit to adapt tactics in combat? Depends on the fight, sir, Santos said. If something doesn't work, we change it immediately, maybe 30 seconds to try a new approach. 30 seconds, Orthan's crystalline body flickered in disbelief. That is impossible. Santos shrugged. Because if we don't adapt in 30 seconds, we're dead in 60. Earth doesn't give you time to think about it. Zethai felt a chill spread through him. 30 seconds. Their worlds had taught patience, caution, long development cycles. Humans had learned something very different. Hayes tapped her datapad. Images filled the displays. Humans in deserts under brutal suns, moving through storms of sand and heat. Others hacking through jungles alive with predators. Still others trudging across ice fields where exposed skin turned black in minutes. These are recordings from Earth, Hayes explained. Humans thrive in environments that would kill most council species in hours. They adapt not yearly, not monthly, but instantly. Every day is a survival test that shapes how they fight. The images sickened Zethai. Humans smiling in lethal landscapes, acting as though it were normal. This is madness, Morin muttered. No, Carter said, eyes hard. This is survival. An alert chimed. Turner scanned his console, his voice cut through the tension. Admiral, long-range sensors detect movement. Devourer scout ships inbound. Estimated arrival, 18 hours. Good, Carter said. Zethai blinked. Good, should we not evacuate? Why? Carter asked. This station is perfect for a defensive stand. Multiple levels, choke points, fallback lines. Civilians will be safer here than running. The Devourers are faster than your transports. He turned to Santos. Get your teams moving. Identify strongholds. Focus on bottlenecks we can turn into kill zones. Already underway, sir, Santos said and strode out with her soldiers. Morin's crystalline body flickered in distress. You cannot mean to fight here. This is madness. Everything is madness until it works, Carter replied. Hayes leaned toward Zethai, her voice low. Ambassador, your fleets are trained for elegance, precision, minimal risk, but when the Devourer's close to short range, what do you do? Zethai hesitated. We retreat, regroup. The humans exchanged another look. Carter's expression turned grim. That's why you're losing. You've never learned to fight up close. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Zethai realized, with a creeping dread, that these humans might be the only species in the galaxy willing to fight the Devourers on their own terms. And yet, could such beings be trusted? Turner looked up again. His voice was tight. New reports. Admiral, 3 more enemy fleets just jumped in. They're not scouts, they're advancing fast. The display filled with markers. Hundreds of enemy ships, more than the Council fleet could hope to match. Carter studied the data, calm as ever. Alert all human ships, combat preparations, weapons hot, boarding teams ready. Zethai's skin turned pale gray. Boarding teams against machines. Carter gave him a look that chilled him to the core. You'll see soon enough. The Devourer scouts are not scouts at all. They are the vanguard of a full invasion force. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, are preparing to meet them head-on, with tactics no council species has ever dared to try. The warning sirens of Kepler Station wailed through every corridor. Ambassador Zethai clutched the rail of the command deck as red light washed over the consoles. Outside the viewing window, the void filled with motion. Hundreds of Devourer vessels boiled into the system like a swarm of metal hornets, their forms shifting and glittering with alien menace. Council fleets moved to meet them. The elegant Valyrian cruisers formed precise battle lines, their energy lances slicing across space in coordinated patterns. For the first hour, it almost looked like they might win. Devourer ships exploded in brilliant flashes. Enemy squadrons faltered, the chamber filled with cautious hope. "See," Speaker Morin said, his crystalline body glowing with relief. "Proper tactics and superior weapons always prevail." But Admiral Carter stood at the edge of the deck, arms folded, his expression unreadable. Dr. Lisa Hayes moved closer. "You don't look impressed." "This isn't success," Carter said quietly. "This is the learning phase, watch their movements." And then it happened. The swarm shifted. Where before they had attacked in straight lines, now they spiraled and twisted, confusing targeting systems. Their shielding shimmered in new ways, deflecting council fire that had cut them down minutes earlier. Their weapons struck harder, faster, more accurate. "They're adapting," Lieutenant Commander Turner reported grimly. "Enemy formations are changing, countermeasures already in place." "Impossible," Morin whispered. "It takes months to develop new tactical doctrines." "Not for them," Carter said. "They learn every time you shoot. By the second hour, most of your advantages will be gone." He was right. One by one, council ships began to fall. The beautiful formations fractured. Valyrian commanders called for retreat. The tide was turning and turning fast. Zethai's hands trembled. He had thought the humans arrogant. Now he wondered if they were simply the only ones who understood. "All human ships," Carter said into his comm, his voice flat as iron. "Execute Plan Alpha, weapons free." The 5 human vessels surged forward. Zethai blinked in horror. Unlike the council fleets, the humans didn't form elegant lines. They charged straight into the swarm, their movements wild, unpredictable. They absorbed punishing fire, armor cracking, hulls venting atmosphere, but they kept coming. "What are they doing?" Morin gasped. "That's suicide." "That's tactics," Carter said coldly. Human ships rammed enemy vessels, firing at point-blank range. Explosions engulfed both sides, yet still the humans advanced. One destroyer took a direct hit, its hull torn open, but instead of retreating, it accelerated, slamming bodily into a Devourer cruiser. Both ships erupted in flame. Through the external feeds, Zethai saw human marines in armored suits spilling from another damaged ship, boarding pods latching onto a Devourer vessel. "Boarding action successful," came a voice over the comm. "Sergeant Santos reporting, we're inside their ship." Zethai felt his throat go dry. Inside, the very idea of entering one of those nightmares was unthinkable. "Status?" Carter asked. "Hostile environment confirmed. Atmosphere toxic. Something trying to eat our equipment. Other than that, we're fine." The screens showed the interior of the Devourer craft, twisted metal corridors, corrosive vapors, mechanical guardians with too many limbs. Yet the humans moved with grim precision. Their weapons flared. Their formation flexed and shifted. "How are they surviving in there?" Orthan demanded. Hayes pulled up data. Environmental suits built for extremes, but more importantly, they're used to hostile environments. To them, this is survivable. "Survivable," Morin sputtered. "That is a hell." "For humans," Hayes said softly, "hell is just another training ground." Santos's voice crackled over the channel again. "Admiral, we've found something. This isn't just a ship, it's a brain." "Explain." "The whole vessel is a computer, every section connected. When we damage one part, the rest learn and adapt. It's coordinating the entire swarm." "Can you shut it down?" Carter asked. "Working on it, but it's big, and it's fighting back." Turner looked up from his console. His face was pale. "Admiral, long-range sensors, 3 more Devourer fleets incoming, will be outnumbered 50 to 1. Zethai's stomach dropped. 50 to 1. No rational commander would keep fighting. Instead, Carter's expression didn't change. "All Council vessels," he ordered over open comms. "Begin evacuation of the station. Civilian transports have priority." "What about defensive positions?" Morin asked desperately. "We cannot hold against this." Carter looked him dead in the eye. "We're switching to Plan Bravo." "What is Plan Bravo?" Zethai asked, though dread filled him. "Urban warfare." The words hit like a blow. Carter turned to his officers. "The Devourers will take the station within 6 hours. After that, we fight them corridor by corridor until our main fleet arrives." "Your main fleet?" Zethai asked. Carter's scarred face hardened. "What you've seen so far are scouts. Earth is sending everything we have, 3 days out." 3 days? Morin flickered pale. "You expect to hold this station for 3 days." "I expect to slow them down for 3 days," Carter corrected. "There's a difference." The alarms blared louder. Security feeds showed Devourer boarding pods slamming into the station's hull like parasites. Mechanical monstrosities began pouring inside. Zethai's knees nearly buckled. "It's over." But Carter's voice rang calm and sharp. "No, it's just beginning." On the lower decks, human Marines moved fast. Colonel Danny Murphy barked orders, his voice carrying over the roar of weapons fire. "Set charges in Section 7. Fall back to secondary defense line." Council citizens fled past them, wide-eyed and trembling. Human soldiers planted explosives, dragged wounded allies, turned luxury plazas into kill zones. Restaurants became bunkers. Art galleries became firing lines. Through the monitors, Zethai saw them improvising weapons from station parts. Welding torches turned into flamethrowers, medical drones reprogrammed into scouts. "Colonel Murphy to command," came the call. "Enemy forces breaching sectors 7 through 12. Casualties light, holding for now. Request reinforcements." Carter's reply was calm as always. "Denied. Hold position. Every minute you buy lets more civilians escape." Zethai looked at Hayes, horror in his eyes. "This is madness. They cannot win." "Probably not," Hayes agreed. "But winning isn't the only goal. Every hour they delay, the swarm saves lives. Every tactic they test here teaches us how to fight them later." An explosion rattled the deck. Security feeds showed Devourer machines flooding into the station's main shopping concourse. "Rodriguez to command," came a corporal's voice. "They've broken through. Request permission for scorched earth protocols." Carter hesitated only a moment. "Granted." Zethai turned in shock. "What are scorched earth protocols?" Hayes's face was grim. "They'll destroy everything the enemy could use, seal off the section permanently." On the screen, Rodriguez planted charges, then gave the signal. The explosion tore through the concourse, collapsing it into a twisted ruin. The Devourer advance halted, cut off. "Route sealed," Rodriguez reported calmly. Zethai's hands shook. They had destroyed an entire section of the station without hesitation. These humans fought like beings who expected to lose everything, but would make the enemy pay for every step. He turned slowly toward Carter. "Admiral, what happens when your main fleet arrives?" Carter's eyes glinted with that predatory light again. "Then we show them what angry Deathworlders can really do." The Devourers are flooding the station. Humans are bleeding, improvising, burning everything in their path just to slow the swarm. But Earth's true fleet is still on the way, and when it arrives, the galaxy will see just how far humanity is willing to go. The battle for Kepler Station raged through the night cycle. Ambassador Zethai barely left the command deck. He watched in horror as Devourer machines clawed through the outer sectors, unstoppable as a tide. Council forces broke and retreated again and again. Only the humans held their lines, savagely, stubbornly, as if death was just another inconvenience. Colonel Murphy's voice came through one channel, ragged with static. "Section 12 breached, falling back to Delta Line, civilians clear." Another voice, Sergeant Santos. "Enemy wave neutralized, 3 of ours down, but we turned their own systems against them, recycling their weapons now." And another, Corporal Rodriguez. "Charges set, corridor sealed, enemy locked out. We're good for another hour, Admiral." Zethai listened, transfixed. Each report carried calm acceptance of casualties, yet also grim pride. It was as if loss was a familiar companion, not a reason to surrender. Carter stood at the central console, expression carved from stone. He gave orders without hesitation, voice steady, never once raising it. Zethai realized something then. This man was not fearless. He was afraid. Zethai could see it in his eyes, but fear was fuel to him, not chains. And then the moment came. "Admiral," Turner said, his voice trembling. "Long-range sensors show hyperspace ruptures at system edge, multiple large signatures inbound." The display filled with markers, dozens, then more, then more. Morin flickered pale. Another devourer fleet. "No," Turner whispered, awe in his voice. "These signatures, they're human." They arrived like a storm from hell. Dozens of vessels tore free from hyperspace, burning with fury. 6 massive carriers bristling with launch bays, 12 destroyers, dozens of smaller escorts. At their center, a warship the size of a city, armored and scarred. "Good God," Zethai breathed, "how many?" 47 combat vessels, Turner reported, hardly able to believe it himself, including 6 heavy assault carriers. Open comms crackled to life. A steady voice cut through the static. "Commander Ryan Brooks, USS Defiance, reporting for duty. Admiral, where do you need us?" Carter's lips curved in the faintest shadow of a smile. "Welcome to the party, Commander. Situation report. Enemy controls 60% of the station. 300 Devourer vessels in system, more arriving hourly." "Understood," Brooks said. "Orders." "All ships," Carter barked. "Attack formation Delta, close to knife-fighting range and engage priority targets. Boarding teams prepare for hostile environment operations." "Copy that," Brooks said, his voice like steel. "Defiance moving to intercept." The human fleet didn't move like the Council's. Council ships favored perfect geometry, elegant lines, formations that gleamed like artwork. The humans were wolves. Each ship broke from the others, moving on instinct. Some darted ahead recklessly, others looped wide, others dove straight through the heart of the swarm. Chaos, unpredictable. The Devourers faltered. "They don't know what to do," Hayes murmured. "The swarm relies on logic, predictable doctrine. They can't predict this." On the screens, Defiance plunged headlong into the swarm, weapons blazing. Enemy ships tried to close around it, only to be caught in crossfire as 2 more human ships appeared from nowhere, hammering them at impossible angles. "Boarding pods away," Brooks reported. Zethai stared as armored soldiers launched into vacuum itself, tiny sparks of light streaking across space. They moved with small thrusters, weaving through enemy fire until they smashed into Devourer hulls. Explosions flared as they cut their way inside. "This is insanity," Morin whispered. "No one can survive that." "They can," Hayes said quietly. "I've seen them do worse." Inside the swarm, Master Chief Sam Parker's team breached an enemy command ship. "Hostile environment confirmed," Parker reported over comms. "Gravity triple Earth norm, atmosphere mostly ammonia, temperature -40 Celsius. Nothing we can't handle." Zethai gaped at Hayes. "Triple gravity, toxic air, that should kill them instantly." "Parker fought 6 months in Earth's polar wars," Hayes said. "This is comfortable by comparison." On screen, Parker's team fought like demons. The ship itself seemed alive. Walls pulsed, machinery shifted, defenders attacked from every angle. Yet the humans used everything as weapons. They overloaded conduits, turned collapsed corridors into cover, forced their way deeper. "We found the central processing unit," Parker reported. "Bigger than expected. Looks like this ship coordinates half the swarm." "Can you shut it down?" Carter asked. "Better," Parker said. "We can hijack it." Dr. Emma Taylor's voice cut in, excited. "Admiral, this isn't just a computer. It's a distributed intelligence node. If we breach it, we may access their entire network." "Do it," Carter ordered. The battle outside raged bloodier by the minute. Council fleets had already retreated. Only the humans pressed forward. Zethai watched in awe and horror. Human ships that should have fled instead rammed enemies, sacrificing themselves to cripple the swarm. Crews evacuated into escape pods, only to request reassignment to other vessels mid-battle. One feed showed the USS Defiance losing its engines, smoke venting into vacuum. Commander Brooks's voice came calm as ever. "Defiance is gone, Admiral, but we're taking 3 of theirs with us. Crew evacuated, request pickup and reassignment." Understood, Carter said. Well done. Zethai stared. Well done. The man had just lost his ship, and yet he sounded proud. They measure success differently, Hayes explained softly. Ships are tools, missions matter more, losses are acceptable if the mission is achieved. Zethai felt a shiver run through him. This was why no other species understood them. Inside the enemy command ship, Parker's team fought deeper. Admiral, Parker said, voice ragged. We're in their core, Dr. Taylor's working. Taylor's voice followed. This intelligence has studied dozens of species, every one predictable, every one logical, but humans, we're not logical, we adapt with chaos, with instinct. They don't understand it. Carter's eyes narrowed. Use that. Moments later, Taylor shouted triumph. I'm in, overriding their tactical net. Across the system, Devourer ships wavered. Their formations broke. Some fired on allies, others froze in confusion. They're overloaded, Hayes said with awe. Too many variables, they can't process human unpredictability. All ships, Carter commanded. Press the attack, don't give them time to recover. The human fleet surged like wolves tearing into prey. Enemy ships died in droves, ripped apart in the confusion. Zethai gripped the rail, breathless. Is it over? Have we won? Carter shook his head. This battle, maybe, but the war, not yet. They'll regroup. They always do. Where? Zethai asked. Taylor, Carter called. Can you access their navigation? Yes, Admiral, she said, her voice turned grim. But you're not going to like it. Their staging ground is in the Helix Nebula, radiation storms, gravitational anomalies, Class 15 hazard zone, uninhabitable. Zethai's blood ran cold. No one can fight there. Carter's eyes gleamed, hard and predatory. No one but us. The humans have shattered the swarm for now. But the enemy's true base lies within the deadliest environment known to the galaxy. No other species has dared enter it. The question is not whether humans will go, it's what they'll do when they get there. The Helix Nebula looked like a wound in the fabric of space. From the viewport of the human flagship, Zethai saw it swirl, vast storms of radiation glowing in sickly greens and crimson, lightning storms arcing between gravitational knots that bent light itself. It was not a place meant for life. No sane species would enter. And yet Admiral Carter stood with hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the storm. This is their nest, he said. We cut it out or they return stronger than before. Council Speaker Morin flickered in alarm. Admiral, you cannot be serious. Entering that anomaly is suicide. Carter didn't even look at him. Ambassador, he asked, glancing at Zethai instead. What's your council's word for a war that never ends? A war that burns you down piece by piece until nothing remains. Zethai swallowed. We have no word, such a thing should never exist. Carter gave a grim smile. On Earth, we call that losing slowly. I don't lose slowly, we go in. Preparations consumed the fleet. Human engineers reinforced hulls with layered plating, rewired shielding for radiation storms, and distributed survival kits in case of catastrophic breaches. Council scientists looked on in horror as humans jury-rigged systems together with what looked like reckless abandon. They are improvising, Orthan muttered to Zethai. This is not engineering, this is desperation. Dr. Hayes shook her head. No, it's both. Humans innovate best under pressure. Improvised solutions are often the most effective. They don't need perfect, they need now. 2 days later, the fleet plunged into the nebula. Radiation battered shields, alarms screamed, gravity wells twisted ships like toys. But the human vessels pressed on, navigating with instincts and brute force. Council observers couldn't believe what they were seeing. One destroyer used a gravitational eddy to slingshot itself around a storm, emerging upside down relative to the fleet, but still on course. Another hid within a radiation surge, using the interference to mask its approach. Each captain fought the environment as fiercely as the enemy. Madness, Morin whispered. They're improvising every second. That's called survival, Hayes replied. Then came the betrayal. In the heart of the nebula, 3 Valyrian cruisers broke formation. Message incoming, Turner said sharply. The hologram of a Valyrian commander flickered into the flagship's command deck. His voice was cold, his expression regal. Council forces withdraw. We will not die in this madness. You humans may throw your lives away, but we will not. Zethai's skin turned pale gray. You cannot. If you abandon the line, the Devourers will flank us. But the Valyrians were already gone, their sleek vessels vanishing into hyperspace ruptures. Morin flickered in fury. Cowards, they leave us to. Quiet, Carter snapped. His eyes never left the tactical display. It changes nothing. We were counting on ourselves anyway. Zethai's heart sank. How could he remain calm when allies abandoned them? Contact. Massive structure detected, Turner reported, at the nebula's core. The display zoomed in. A construct the size of a small moon loomed in the storm. Metal fused with pulsing organic tissue, bristling with weapons, surrounded by thousands of Devourer ships in perfect formation. By the stars, Zethai whispered. They built a brain, Hayes said softly. That thing isn't just a base, it's the mind behind everything. Then that's what we kill, Carter said flatly. All ships attack Formation Omega, prepare for knife range. The battle that followed was chaos beyond imagination. The swarm had learned from its last defeat. Their ships no longer moved in predictable patterns. Instead, they mirrored human chaos with their own, scattering in random arcs, trying to disrupt the Wolfpack tactics. They're adapting again, Turner reported, trying to counter unpredictability with more unpredictability. Carter's jaw tightened. Then we adapt faster. All ships abandon formal discipline. Individual captains, full tactical authority, fight like pirates. The command deck erupted with confusion, but human ships obeyed instantly. Each captain fought their own war, using instinct and raw experience. One ship dove into an electromagnetic storm, vanishing, then reappearing inside enemy lines with guns blazing. Another rode a gravity surge to ram a cruiser head-on. Another shut down its own power to mimic debris, then ignited at point-blank range to shred an enemy carrier. To the council delegates, it looked like insanity. To Carter, it was natural selection, war fought like evolution itself. Amid the chaos, reconnaissance ship USS Sentinel found a narrow path through the defenses. Admiral Captain Johnson reported, "We've got a shot at the base, it's dangerous." "Define dangerous," Carter said. "Radiation storms lethal in minutes. Gravity wells strong enough to crush the hull. Automated defenses everywhere." Carter's lips twitched. "Sounds like Tuesday on Earth, do it." Johnson dove. Behind him, assault pods launched, filled with Marines in armored suits, Sergeant Santos and Master Chief Parker at the front. The boarding was worse than anything Zethai had imagined. The interior was alive. Walls pulsed with organic growth, machinery shifted like muscle and bone. Acid dripped from vents. Every corridor fought back. "Status," Carter demanded. Santos's voice came through, strained but steady. "We're in, sir. This place is alive. It doesn't want us here." Parker followed. "Central Core 2 clicks down, heavily defended. We'll lose people getting there." "Do what you have to," Carter said. Zethai turned to Hayes, his skin nearly white. "This is impossible. No one can survive this." Hayes looked at him sadly. "That's what the Devourers think too, and it's why the humans will succeed." For hours, the Marines fought deeper. Feeds showed them burning corridors with plasma, blasting tunnels through living machinery, improvising weapons when theirs broke. They fought with the desperation of those who expected to die but refused to stop. Casualties mounted. Every few minutes another signal winked out, but the survivors pressed on, step by step, toward the central intelligence. "Admiral," Parker reported finally, "we've reached the core. It's massive, and sir, it's trying to communicate." "Communicate?" Carter asked sharply. "Yes, sir, it's sending signals. Dr. Taylor's working on translation, but I think it's confused." "Confused how?" Taylor's voice cut in, breathless. "Admiral, it doesn't understand us. Every other species surrendered when the odds became impossible. It can't comprehend why humans keep fighting when logic says defeat is inevitable." Carter's eyes hardened. "Tell it this, hope isn't logical on a death world, it's necessary." An explosion rocked the ship. Zethai was thrown against the railing. Turner's voice was urgent. "Admiral, 3 human destroyers down, Devourer reinforcements inbound, fleet losses at 40%. Carter's voice never wavered. "Hold the line." "Admiral," Morin cried, his crystalline body flickering wildly. "This is suicide. Retreat before you're annihilated." Carter turned on him, eyes blazing like a predator. Retreat and we die slowly. Fight and maybe we kill the beast. Pick one. Inside the base, Santos's voice came through ragged. Admiral, we're at the core, setting charges. We'll need a distraction to buy time. Understood, Carter said. Fleet, prepare for final push. Zethai stared at the screens, heart hammering. The humans were sacrificing everything, ships, lives, their very sanity, in a battle no other species would even attempt. And for the first time in his life, Zethai felt something new. Hope. The human marines have reached the Devourer core, but at terrible cost. The fleet is bleeding, allies have betrayed them, and the enemy is still learning. To win, the humans may have to pay the ultimate price. The command deck shook as another Devourer volley struck the human flagship. Warning klaxons wailed, lights flickered, and smoke coiled from the ceiling. Shields at 20%, Turner shouted over the chaos. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Keep firing, Carter barked. Redirect auxiliary power to weapons. If we go down, we take as many of them with us as we can. Zethai clutched the railing, heart hammering. Around him, humans moved with terrifying efficiency. No panic, no hesitation, just cold focus as if disaster was routine. Council Speaker Morin flickered desperately. Admiral, you must retreat. You're throwing lives away. Carter spun on him, eyes blazing. We're buying time for the Marines inside. Every second we hold, they get closer to killing the brain. Retreat now, and all those deaths mean nothing. Morin shrank back, crystalline body dimming. Inside the Devourer base, the Marines fought in a nightmare. Sergeant Santos led the way, armor scorched, visor cracked, blood streaking her face beneath. Around her, the squad had dwindled. Dozens had fallen. Those still alive moved like ghosts, their silence broken only by the rattle of gunfire and the screams of dying machines. Status, Santos barked. Charges intact, Parker grunted, hefting a satchel. We can blow the core if we reach it. Then move, Santos snapped. The corridor shifted under their feet. Walls pulsed like muscle, sealing and reopening, forcing them into kill zones where mechanical guardians waited. The Marines cut them down with plasma fire, blades, even bare fists when ammo ran dry. Zethai watched through the feeds, his stomach twisting. These weren't soldiers. They were predators unleashed in a hostile world, every instinct honed by a lifetime on a planet that wanted them dead. And still they fought forward. Dr. Taylor's voice came through, ragged but urgent. Admiral, I've cracked partial translation. The intelligence is broadcasting. It's asking why we resist. Answer it, Carter ordered. Taylor hesitated. It doesn't understand us. It thinks survival without guaranteed success is irrational. It believes surrender is efficient. Carter's face darkened. Then tell it this. Efficiency is irrelevant when your species is on the line. We fight because living things fight. That's all it needs to know. The Marines reached the core chamber. It was a cathedral of horror, vast walls of pulsing organic tissue wrapped around colossal machinery, glowing with sickly light. Streams of data poured like rivers of fire. The intelligence itself pulsed in the center, a living engine the size of a mountain. Santos raised her weapon, eyes hard. Set the charges. Sergeant, Parker said grimly, we'll never get out in time. This blast will collapse the entire chamber. Santos's jaw clenched. We don't need to get out, we just need to finish the job. On the flagship, Hayes grabbed Carter's arm. They'll all die. They know, Carter said quietly. They're Deathworlders. Every one of them grew up knowing tomorrow isn't promised. They fight so the rest of us can have one. Zethai looked at him in disbelief. You're sending them to certain death. Carter turned his predator's eyes on him. No, they volunteered. Charges placed, Parker reported. His voice was steady, but Zethai could hear the weight beneath it. Admiral, Santos cut in, we'll hold until detonation. Buy you every second we can. Carter closed his eyes for a moment, then spoke with the solemnity of a commander sending family to their graves. You've done enough already, but if this is the road you choose, make it count. Yes, sir, Santos said. There was no fear in her tone, only resolve. The Devourers knew. The chamber walls convulsed. Dozens, hundreds of mechanical guardians poured into the chamber, shrieking, blades and plasma flashing. The Marines met them head-on. Gunfire thundered. Explosions shook the chamber. Marines fell one after another, but each took down enemies with them. Santos fought like a storm, carving through machines with blade and rifle, screaming defiance into the void. Parker held the line with fists when ammo ran dry, his armor cracking under blows that would have shattered others. "Charges armed," Parker shouted. "Detonation in 60 seconds. "Hold the line," Santos bellowed. On the flagship, Turner's voice cracked. "Admiral, enemy reinforcements inbound. We're being overwhelmed." "Then die on your feet," Carter snarled. "All ships push forward, give Santos every second." Zethai stared at the tactical display. Human ships burning, breaking apart, but ramming enemies even as they died. Fighters diving into swarms and detonating themselves. Destroyers plowing through cruisers in suicidal charges. "This is madness," Morin cried. "No," Hayes whispered, tears in her eyes. "This is humanity." Inside the chamber, Santos stood over the detonator. Blood ran into her eyes. Her last Marines fell around her. She raised her calm, voice steady. "Admiral Carter, it's been an honor." Carter's jaw tightened. "Likewise, Sergeant." Santos smiled faintly, then pressed the trigger. The explosion lit the nebula like a second star. The core shuddered, screamed, and tore itself apart. Shockwaves rippled through the swarm. Ships froze, weapons went silent. The intelligence at their heart died, and with it their coordination. Across the system, human ships suddenly found enemies adrift, confused, vulnerable. "Admiral," Turner cried, voice breaking, "the swarm is collapsing. They've lost control." Carter's fists clenched at his sides. "All ships, tear them apart." The humans surged like wolves into a dying herd. Devourer vessels fell one after another, no longer united, no longer learning. Chaos turned to massacre. But victory carried its price. "Fleet status," Carter demanded. Turner's face was pale. 60% losses, sir. Half our carriers gone, most destroyers crippled, casualties catastrophic." Carter's jaw worked, but his voice stayed level. "And the Marines?" Silence filled the deck. Taylor's voice came soft, breaking. "No signals, they're gone." Zethai bowed his head. For the first time, he felt grief not for his own people, but for these humans who had given everything. Hayes wiped her eyes, then turned to Zethai. "Now you understand. They don't fight because they think they'll survive. They fight because someone has to." Zethai whispered almost to himself, "Deathworlders." Carter's voice cut through, sharp and cold. "Don't mourn yet. This war isn't over. The swarm may be broken here, but they're out there, somewhere. Until they're gone, humanity doesn't stop." Zethai looked at the Admiral, scarred, battered, unbroken. He realized the galaxy had not called Deathworlders by accident. They had called wolves. And wolves never stopped hunting. The swarm has been broken. The Marines are dead. The human fleet is shattered but standing. The galaxy has witnessed the price humanity is willing to pay. But what comes after? How will the survivors live with what they've become? 6 months later, Kepler Station floated whole again above the green world of Haven. But it was not the same. Gone were the glass walls and graceful chambers meant for comfort. Now every corridor had reinforced bulkheads. Every plaza doubled as a defensive stronghold. Every system had backups upon backups. The station was no longer a palace. It was a fortress. Ambassador Zethai stood at the observation window, watching reconstruction crews at work. Humans in heavy suits welded new plating beside Valyrian architects, their methods clashing but their purpose the same. Speaker Morin approached, crystalline form glowing faintly. "Do you think we did the right thing?" he asked softly. "Inviting them in, letting them change us." Zethai was silent a long moment. He watched a group of human Marines drilling with Council security officers in the courtyard below. The humans barked orders, corrected stances, demanded precision. The Council officers looked exhausted, but sharper than Zethai had ever seen them. "Yes," Zethai said finally, "we did the right thing." Morin flickered uncertainly. "But at what cost? Look at them, they are dangerous." Zethai's gaze hardened. "So are the enemies that destroyed 12 systems. We cannot remain soft while the galaxy burns." Dr. Lisa Hayes joined them, datapad in hand. Her face was tired, her uniform worn, but her eyes gleamed with purpose. "The Council has approved the Mutual Defense Treaty," she announced. "And the Cultural Exchange Program is exceeding expectations. Valerian cadets are training with human marines. Soffit engineers are studying Earth's adaptive technologies. Morin flickered with unease. Are we becoming like them? Hayes smiled, but it wasn't gentle. It was sharp, protective. No, you're becoming ready. Humans don't want you to be like us. We want you to survive. Zethai tilted his head. Then tell me, Doctor, what is humanity's true nature? After everything I've seen, I still cannot decide. Hayes's smile widened, predatory. We didn't reveal our true nature. You've only seen what happens when someone threatens our friends. Zethai felt a chill. And if someone threatened you? Her eyes hardened. Then you'd see what wolves look like when the pack is hunting. In the docking bay, Admiral John Carter oversaw the departure of the surviving fleet. His hair was grayer now, his face more scarred. 60% of his fleet was gone. Thousands of Marines would never return. But his eyes burned with the same relentless fire. Admiral, Turner said beside him, the Council is sending relief fleets to the destroyed systems. Reconstruction has begun. Carter nodded. Good, and the swarm? Scattered, Turner reported. With the core gone, they've collapsed into fragments. Our patrols have eliminated several remnants, but they'll be back, somewhere, somehow. Carter's jaw tightened. Then we'll be ready. Zethai approached quietly. He studied Carter for a long moment, then bowed his head. Admiral, my people owe you more than I can say. Carter's eyes flicked to him. You don't owe us. The galaxy cried for help, we answered. But at such a cost, Zethai said. His voice trembled. So many dead. Why would you sacrifice so much for worlds not your own? Carter's face softened just slightly. Because that's what Deathworlders do. On Earth, every day is a fight to live. You learn that survival isn't selfish. It's about the pack. You fight for each other, or you don't make it at all. Zethai blinked. The pack. Our families, our friends, our allies. Carter's eyes hardened again. You're in the pack now. That means we bleed together. Zethai felt something stir in his chest. Not fear this time, trust. Later, in the rebuilt council chamber, delegates gathered. The walls no longer glowed with calming gardens. Now they displayed tactical readouts, evacuation protocols, fallback routes. The chamber had changed, just like its members. Speaker Morin addressed them. The Mutual Defense Treaty with Earth is ratified. From this day forward, humanity is a member of the Galactic Council. There was unease, murmurs rippled, but no one objected, not after what they had seen. Admiral Carter stood at the center. His presence filled the room. You brought us into your council, he said, his voice deep and steady. Now you need to understand what that means. Humanity isn't gentle. We aren't elegant. We're not civilized the way you are. We are something else. And when the next enemy comes, and it will, we won't negotiate. We won't retreat. We'll fight. And if you stand with us, you'll fight too. Silence. Then slowly, Orthan of the Soffits spoke. His crystalline body glowed faintly. Perhaps that is what we need. We have lived in safety too long. We forgot the universe is not kind. One by one, other delegates nodded. Zethai felt pride swell in his chest. They were afraid, but they were also ready. That night, Zethai found Hayes on the observation deck. Together, they looked out at the stars, cold, distant, but alive. Do you think it's over? Zethai asked. Hayes was silent a long moment, then she shook her head. No, the Devourers were one threat. There will be others. There always are. That's the truth of the universe. Zethai exhaled slowly. Then what do we do? Hayes smiled, that same sharp smile he was beginning to recognize as human hope. We do what humans always do. We get ready. And when the galaxy cries for help again, we answer. On the decks below, human Marines trained with alien recruits. Blades clashed, weapons roared, commands echoed. For the first time, Council soldiers learned to fight in corridors, to improvise, to adapt on instinct. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't graceful, but it was survival. And in the shadows of the station, the memory of those who had fallen lingered. Santos, Parker, Brooks, thousands more. Their sacrifice had carved a path through impossible odds. They were gone, but their spirit remained. The spirit of Deathworlders. Months later, in the quiet of his quarters, Zethai recorded a message. To my people and to the Council, I have seen the humans fight, I have seen them bleed, and I have seen them stand where no one else would. They are dangerous, yes. They are terrifying, but they are also necessary. Without them, we would be ash and silence. With them, we have a chance. He paused, his throat tight. Do not fear the wolves, trust them. For when the galaxy cried for help, it was the wolves who answered. Final scene, a hint of what's next. Far from Kepler in the dark between stars, a fragment of the swarm stirred. Broken, leaderless, but not gone. It rebuilt slowly, feeding on the husks of dead worlds. And in its fractured mind, one question echoed. Why do humans fight when logic says they should fall? The answer it knew would decide the next war. Humanity had bled more than any other, yet they stood, scarred but unbroken. The galaxy had changed. The Council had changed. Even Zethai himself had changed. Because once you have seen wolves fight for you, you never forget. And somewhere deep inside, Zethai knew one truth that would guide the future. The Devourers had picked the wrong species to challenge. And next time, the galaxy would not cry for help in vain.